Now, of course, I don't remember how I might go about this entirely. It's been a long time since I've had to mess with any of the firewall rules. I mostly used it for port forwarding and traffic shaping. However, we'll find out. So we have floating WAN and LAN rules. Close that shit. And most likely it's going to involve this. So this is the rule to allow default LAN to any rule. Let's see what it looks like, because I imagine it's somewhere going to be in here where it's going to have to figure it out. So trying to think if it's the source being the LAN. I don't like the Windows Server thing with the fucking trying to use the browser, but I don't feel like installing any third-party anything or really messing with it. This virtual machine is going to be getting deleted anyways. So I don't think I need to worry about this stuff until I'm ready to try and figure out how the port forwarding mess is going to start to work, because that's going to be even more of a pain in the ass, if even possible. I'm sure it is just figuring it out, but I can deal with that later. So right now there's a rule. The source is from the LAN network to, I guess, any port range. Is that the idea? Let's mess with this then. The destination, any. How do I specify a LAN address? Network, maybe? If the mouse is not physically inside the VM window, it won't take my input. 2.1.24. So either this is going to completely break it, or actually I got a better idea. Let's not even mess with that just yet. Let's just make copies instead, like that. Here's an idea. Invert it. Like that. Called allow. And hopefully the anti-lockout rule will keep me from locking myself out. I don't know. So we'll see. So I basically just made the opposite rule here to this one. I'm going to disable the original one. Let's just see what happens. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be done already. Yep. Nope. Yep, it's done. Go to rules. Let's see what he's got. I mean, I'm still connected here, so that's good. How do we let's see. First, internet should be unaffected. It's unaffected. Next. I can still see the second modem. Can I see the first one? Yes, I can. That's okay, so that didn't do what I wanted it to do then. So let's start messing with this copied rule we have. Action. This is a pass rule. Instead of inverting, let's do like this. This way. So we'll set it to allow into the subdomain of this. And that's not likely to change much of anything. But it should at least, I think, permit it to see its own subnetwork. Bingo. Now it doesn't see it. 2.1 it sees, but it can no longer see first network. So now if I try and access this, it should error out, right? Or just not see it. First thought was to make a block rule, but then I thought, since there was a default allow rule, why not just restrict, tighten it up instead? There you go. So we can no longer see anything on the original subnetwork or my home subnetwork. Yeah, you can try and detect problems all you want, Windows. You're not going to find it. You won't find my network. You're firewalled, bitch. Hardware firewalled in a software virtualized environment. A software hardware virtual it's not a software firewall. It's technically a hardware firewall, but it's a virtualized one, which means it's technically software, but it's not on the same layers. So, mindfuck, whatever. But as we can see, I can no longer access the first network. So that was the goal. And you can. I can't type for shit. Uh-oh. I don't think we got internet out either, though. Well, that might be a problem. And that might have been related to whatever the hell this thing did to Troubleshooter. Let's just turn off IPv6 in there. That should reconnect it at least. Or not. So he can see out to the local network, subnetwork, but it lost internet access, huh? Doesn't see that one. Just doesn't seem to see any internet either. That kind of... I may have to manually create a rule in that case. I don't entirely know what I'm doing, of course. Let's close that. Let's retest this then. Alright, what the hell am I doing? Click on that. Click on this, and essentially I'm undoing everything I just did. So now we restored the default allow any rule. Okay, that works. But here's where the problem is. Now it sees that again. So what happens if I edit this and create it as a block rule instead of a pass block. And we're going to block it from... I'm sure there's somebody out there looking right now and cringing. This is how I learn. This is how I do things. I chip away anything I can't figure out. I start Googling. Get rid of that description. That's stupid. So I'm going to create a block rule on this network to see if that does anything. That didn't do shit. That might be in the wrong order though. Order matters. Save. Bye. Now? Oops. Well, that didn't work, did it? Still has internet, but it still has full access to everything else, too. Let me think. Source is the LAN network. I wonder if it would be better to make a floating rule, now that I think about it. Oh, I don't know. But it doesn't work the way it is either way, so... Can I get it to at least block this single... Oops. Just, can you block this IP on the network? Is what I want to see. Why is there two rules now? There's two. Okay, and it doesn't work. Yeah. Save. Apply. Because if it doesn't, if it doesn't honor it, if this supersedes it, it should depend on the order, though, no? I guess not. We'll turn the blocks off there. Let's try a floating rule, because maybe... say block on the LAN. Unless I need to do... I don't think it goes through the WAN interface, though, does it? Maybe that's related, because we're blocking it here, but it still might have access through here. Or I need to block it on the original pfsense, not the first one, or not the second one, but the first one. That might be what. That might be it. But we'll try it this way first, because it'd be convenient for me to be able to edit it here first. I just want to see if it works. If not, I will try and mess with the original router, the first one. Any protocol. This is a block rule, yes. So we'll say source being any. Should I go off the LAN network to not any LAN net, just try and go specific for just that IP for the moment. Can you block that? Is the question. You can't do shit. That didn't work. Now we start tweaking until either A, it breaks more, or alright, let's say the source is any. Now what happens? Oh, what have we got here? There we go. So yeah, it's possible it was that interface. Okay, so that works. So now the question is, get rid of that. If I go back to the LAN rule, that one works like it should. Oh, God damn it. And that one does not. Okay, so it's honoring that rule correctly. We're going to disable that. And it should now work. There it is. So let's just change a rule based on the source, because I guess we were doing the source wrong. We'll mess with this rule again. Edit. So instead of off the LAN network, we can just say any. Anything trying to access this. Apply. Now, let's see. Nope. Wait a minute, I think I got it in the wrong order, though. Order matters, and I forget, it's backwards for floating rules versus the interface rules. That I didn't hit save, I don't know. Let's find out. Oh, you, what fucking piece of shit. Nope, still doesn't work. Which must mean it's because it's not the LAN network that I have to edit it on, but probably the WAN. But a floating rule takes care of it, so I suppose that's fine. So let's re-enable this fucker. We're going to edit it. Now, what happens when I set it to the entire subnetwork of the first network? Oops. To the 24. That's basically from .1 to .255 on this. I don't know if blocking the IP if that one specifically will kill it from the internet as well or not. And if it does, maybe that might be related to why it was. Right? So that's unable to do anything. Okay. It has internet, but it can no longer ping anything on the network of the first network. And that was just by configuring the second router. I think the more appropriate way may have been to take this guy. This is my first router, the main one. And probably going into rules and creating something in here that prevents it from going between, just prevent the two subnetworks from communicating from each other. But in this case, I didn't have to change anything on my original router. So that's kind of convenient, because if something goes wrong and I can't figure it out and I have to restore rules and stuff, I don't have to worry about configuring the second network router in relation to the first one. Or rather, I don't have to configure anything different with this one in relation to the other one. Anything that happens on this end of the switch here is completely controlled now by a second independent router. So that's good. It's going to get a lot more complicated though come next step, and I'm not quite ready, I don't think, to tackle it. And that is port forwarding. So, like, for example, let's say this Aomi I'm running, this machine, if I was to run, say I wanted to run a web server on here, it's not going to be visible to the rest of the internet because the port's not forwarded. So, in order to do that, I imagine if I DMZ it, shouldn't I be able to set up a demilitarized zone from the first router into the second, and then I would still either UPnP or whatever, or just make manual rules on this end? It's normally, if I needed to forward a port, it would be like here. I would create a rule, and I would set up my port forwarding for 80 or whatever the hell I'm trying to forward out to the internet so that I could be seen. But right now, I don't think anything could be done on this end until the first end of things is configured, and that may be researching how to set up a DMZ, perhaps. But for now, I'll be okay with this at least. Now I have internet access on a machine that has no access outside of its own subnetwork, at least.